like to welcome you to Pownal Select Board regular meeting Thursday, July 9th. Sorry, we're a few minutes late. We had a little technical problem. We're good to go now. So this is the agenda for tonight. Approval of minutes of 6:23 and 6:25. Warrants, old business, Kurt Muller, PHB. Amend 4:16 minutes and possibly 6:25 to reflect the DRB appointments. 5, new business, Paul Goyette, off-road in North Pownal, Strohmeyer Road Culvert Bid Award. C, electronic signatures. D, temp help. E, ATV ordinance and possible adoption. 6 is public comment will be available via Zoom. I would like to move up public comment to begin with. This is for the agenda right here. It can't have anything to do with ATV comments. This is only for the agenda. The ATV comments we will have down when we discuss ATV. So can I have a motion on that, please?
Make a motion to approve the agenda as stated.
Did we want to, did we already say move public comments up?
I just did.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
A
Then
second, please.
I'll second that.
Okay, so Bob,
Aye.
Jamie,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Ronnie,
Aye.
Angie, aye. So for the purpose of tonight's meeting, I'm going to ask Rebecca, our town agent, to explain how public comments regarding the ATV ordinance portion of the meeting is going to proceed. She also had a few other items we have asked her to address. So I'm going to turn the meeting over to Rebecca for a few minutes.
Okay, are you gonna turn the camera too?
Would you like us?
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm going to read a statement. I have a couple points that I want to address before we get started. First, it has been brought to the town's attention that while adapting to and navigating through the new open meeting law statutes and procedures, as they are unique to the COVID-19 state of emergency, that the board took action after executive session on the night of June 18th, 2020, without calling a new Zoom meeting to resume the open part of the meeting. The action that was taken was that the board voted to approve signing the contract renewal with the Sheriff's Department. The exact motion as reflected in the minutes was Mr. Percy moved and Mr. Jarvis seconded to approve the sheriff's contract with the following change of $45 an hour. The motion carried by roll call of those present. That action was then ratified upon the following select board meeting by the signing of the contract in an open meeting. Upon learning that the new Zoom meetings would need to be called for any actions taken after an executive session, the board has resolved that for the remainder of the Vermont state of emergency, no actions will be taken directly after the adjournments of executive sessions. Instead, all actions that result from a discussion in an executive session will take place at the next duly warned public meeting of the elected body. The board would also like to affirmatively and adamantly state that it has not held any discussions of any select board quorum outside of a duly warned meeting, and that there have been no easy chain communications, which is a term that refers to, quote, successive interrelated private conversations about the board's business that taken together involve a quorum, as defined by the Vermont Secretary of State's Guide to Open Meetings. That is where I got that definition from. Secondly, I want to address the use of the chat function on the Zoom platform. The chat portion of the Zoom meeting will not be entered into the minutes as it is not part of the public discussion. The chat box will be used only in the following ways. 1, if you are having technical difficulties and you need assistance to raise your hand to speak, or if you're unable to mute yourself. If you're struggling and cannot figure out how to speak in the meeting, a phone number will be provided to you to call so we can take your comment on speaker. I will personally send you my phone number and I will make sure that you get on speaker and are able to make your comment. Asking a clarifying question regarding, this is the second way you can use the chat box, asking a clarifying question regarding the Zoom technology or to alert the moderator of a technical issue that perhaps the moderator is unaware of. It must be Emphasize that the chat box is not to be used for discussion between attendees of the public meeting. The board, through the Zoom moderator, reserves the right to shut off the chat function if these guidelines cannot be adhered to. We want to thank you in advance for respecting this request, as it makes the moderation of the electronic platform much more efficient for all involved. Third, while the town, in legal filings by Mr. Fisher, our attorney, denies any statutory mandate to allow the yielding of public comment time to any other party, including a legal representative, we have decided that for the purposes of this meeting tonight and any discussion regarding the ATV ordinance, to allow for clients of Ms. Merrill Bent to yield their public time to her. If a client of Ms. Bent would like to do so, they need to identify themselves as her client and state that they wish to yield their time to her. This obviously does not take away anyone's ability to make a comment, okay? Lastly, we are asking that all public comment regarding the ATV ordinance be saved for the ATV ordinance portion of the meeting after the board has had a preliminary discussion. Once they've had a preliminary discussion, they will open it up to the public. And we're going to allow ample time, up to an hour with more, as the select board may have its discretion to extend that time. It is also at the chair's discretion to allow more than 3 minutes per speaker. If you have public comment unrelated to the ATV ordinance, please make your comment during the regular public comment time. As long as decorum is maintained, no one will be removed from the meeting. And if you have questions regarding this procedure specifically, you can ask it in the chat box. And if I'm able, I'm going to answer you directly. The moderator of this meeting will alert me if you have any questions for me, and hope that was clear. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. All right. Approval of minutes. Oh, first we're going to have public comment. I'm so sorry. Is there anybody out there who would like to speak in public comment on anything that's on the agenda except for ATV? Please raise your hand at this time. Priscilla, is there anybody out there? Unrelated to ATV. No, I'll give it a minute. If there's anybody in the chat room that would like to speak other than ATV, please raise your hand.
Let me just send a chat.
There's no one with their hand raised.
Somebody
Okay.
asked,
Please speak up.
Okay.
somebody's in the chat box, so they asked a
Yeah.
question.
Yep, me and Priscilla got that part.
Okay. All right, approval of minutes of 6:23 and 6:15.
6:25
Mine says 6:23.
and 6:25.
Oh, and 6:25. I'm so sorry.
Can we do them separate?
We can.
Please.
All right, let's do approval of minutes of 6:23:20. Do I have a second?
Second it.
Discussion?
Some minor changes to that one. I think that was 623, right? There's just one, maybe I'm only focusing on my own comment. But there was something in here that said, with or without the no chase policy, the ordinance will stay in place. That's exactly the reverse of what was said. It was with or without the ordinance, and with or without increasing law enforcement, the Vermont State Police and the Sheriff's Department will still have a no chase policy. I just want to make sure that that's clear to everybody. And so hopefully we can clear that up in the minutes. With or without the ordinance, the no chase policy will still be in effect.
Correct. That's
Not our policy. That's the both the
Right.
Vermont State Police and the Sheriff's
Sure.
Department.
Okay.
Sure.
Anything else?
That was all I found.
Mike?
Nope, nothing on that one.
All right, so I have a motion on the floor. All in favor, Bob,
Aye, as amended.
as amended, Jamie,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Ronnie,
Aye.
Angie, aye. All right, minutes for 6:25:20. May I have a motion?
I have a change on those.
Second first?
I'll second it.
Okay. Discussion, please.
Sorry, Linda, I thought someone did second it. The action taken after the executive session for the pay raises, that wording is wrong. That's not what we voted on. To follow the agreed fiscal year budget amount that was passed by the voters. We came out of executive session and we worked through the first several individually, and then when we got to I believe it was the wastewater is where we decided to go to the budgeted amounts for fiscal year. So the first road crew,
And Darcy.
treasurer, on Darcy, we said whatever was budgeted.
Right.
We ended up going back and saying, because we didn't know what was budgeted.
It was
We went road crew.
right here.
I can if you have it, I can send in my copy.
We did the first 4 on the top and then we did the remainder, correct?
Yes, we did the road foreman, we did the town treasurer, we did the town clerk, administrative assistant,
Highway
the assistant, and the 4 road crew. Then when we got down to the wastewater, is where my motion was to increase from there down, which is, I'm gonna read them all off, or not, it's up to you guys. That's-
I don't think we have to read it,
Okay,
but
that's where my motion was to agree to the budgeted amount, because we didn't know what the budgeted amounts were. So my motion should read, it should have read, the road crew,
We didn't, Priscilla called me and asked me, and we didn't know if we were supposed to put the amount in. I think that's how it got.
right, and I'm not sure about that.
Well,
I don't know the answer to that,
That's
but it's all public knowledge.
It is public.
it's a percentage.
But it's public knowledge.
Right.
So it doesn't matter if we put the amount in there or not, realistically. It's all, anyone in the general public can do it. I thought about that after.
Okay.
The treasurer we voted no raise.
Right.
Town clerk was 3%, administrative assistant 3%, assistant stayed the same. Road crew was $1 an hour across the board and $1 for the road foreman. And then that's how my motion read.
Right, and the rest down was.
The
what was
rest down,
budgeted.
every other town employee was the budgeted amount.
Right. Because we
Next.
weren't here for the budget, so.
Right.
Yep. Okay, with any other changes? The amended warrants for 625. Motion in a second. Bob?
I,
Ron?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Angie, aye. Okay. Warrants. All right, payroll check warrants ending 6/28/20 for the amount of $9,044. Payroll check warrant ending 7/5 in the amount of $8,004.18. Accounts payable number 1 dated 7/30 in the amount of $72,550.97. 22,000 of that is county tax. And then there's 2 $18,000 payments for the gravel lease in that warrant. That's why that warrant's so high. Accounts payable warrant 1A dated 7/4 in the amount of $3,954.89. Accounts payable warrant number 2 dated 7/10 in the amount of $19,388.55. Can I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion.
Can I have a second? Any discussion?
The 2 $18,000 gravel payments only because I don't know. Is that for 2 separate fiscal years or is that one fiscal year? Or that's the annual payment?
Yep.
Just curiosity, how come it's broken up into 2? I don't know. Oh, okay,
Right.
perfect. Just because I was ignorant on why it went that way. That's all. Thank you.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
I think,
Oh, I'm sorry, second. All right, so Bob?
Aye.
Mike and
Yeah, Mike
Yes,
and Ron.
yes, Mike
Mike
and
and
Ron.
Ron, I'm
yes.
sorry. Bob said aye. Jamie,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Ronnie,
Aye.
Angie, aye. Old business. Kurt Muller. Are you out there, Kurt?
There we go. Yes, I am.
How are you tonight?
I'm doing really well. Thank you for inviting me back. Would you like me to start my video? There we go.
Yes, please.
Well, should I just take it from here?
Yes, please.
Okay. Thank you for inviting me back. As I mentioned, I'm with VHB, environmental consultant, managing the site investigation at the Pownal landfill. During the last meeting I attended last month, I gave a debrief overview of where we were with the project, and identified that drilling was to start actually this week. Unfortunately, the driller had to postpone due to a scheduling issue, and it's now scheduled actually for July 22 through July 24. So that's coming up pretty quickly. The reason I wanted to follow up was an email that I believe Linda had shared with you, just having to do with the finances of the project. As you're aware, there's a loan that the city has, that the town of Pownal has taken out. And we identified certain costs and guesstimated what this supplemental investigation would take as of last year before we had any data from the initial round. And as a result, in designing and working collaboratively with the DEC, the supplemental investigation is going to be approximately $13,000 more expensive than we had guesstimated. So I think I explained this during that last meeting. What we proposed to do and what I've discussed with Linda was to put a loan amendment together after July 16, which would start the next fiscal year and allow you to maximize the subsidy through the next fiscal year. So the costs associated with this are eligible according to the folks at that were on the call last time with you with the Clean Water State Revolving Fund. There's the fund is solvent and there's enough money in there, so there's no reason why that loan wouldn't be approved. However, I don't have that approval yet, and so what I guess I am just wanting to put forth to you would be, if for some reason that we don't expect, that loan amendment wouldn't be approved with us implementing this scope, we're $13,000 more expensive than what the current loan allows for. That being said, there wouldn't be the timing of all of this with the July 16 application and the 6 weeks of underwriting that's required to get that loan through. We would likely have approval before we'd even tap into that, because that's the back end of the project, some of the analytical costs and the reporting costs. So assuming that the loan amendment is approved, this should all be a wash. But I guess I just wanted some assurance that, God forbid, that loan amendment wasn't approved, we implemented this scope, that the town would be on, essentially be on the hook for that $13,000 difference. And wanted to just verify that before we got too far ahead of ourselves. So that's essentially what I wanted to, what I presented to Linda, and Linda said that she, obviously can't alone make financial decisions like that. So hence me being here tonight to share that with you and get your take and have you vote on that. Any questions?
Yeah, so the only ask, I believe the only ask is that we sort of
Agreed.
just agree that if the loan doesn't come through, that the town will cover the $13,000.
Right.
The difference, yeah.
The safeguard.
Yeah.
It seems reasonable to me. We've already agreed to do the extra 13.
We don't have a choice. How I would think. I mean, we're into the project already, so the project has to continue, if I'm not mistaken. So we're kind of backed into a wall, so to speak. We need to say, yeah, we're going to come up with the 13,000. We got to continue the project.
And to be clear, Mr. Mueller is saying that.
For sure.
Almost certainly we'll get the loan.
Right, and I totally
Almost
understand
certainly,
that.
but anything could happen.
anything can happen, but you know, we're into the project already, and you know, I think let's continue the project and get it taken care of.
So do we need a motion on this? All right. Who would like to make a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Okay,
That if the loan doesn't come through for the anticipated difference of approximately $13,000, the town of Pownal is liable for the loan. We're
Right.
liable for the additional money.
do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Any other discussion? Bob,
Aye.
Jamie,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Ronnie?
Aye.
Angie, aye. Thank you
Additional
so much.
$13,000.
Thank you very much. Linda, would you mind just replying to that email with an affirmative? And I think we're all good from there.
Will do. We'll send minutes.
We'll send,
Okay.
minutes, and she said she will do.
Wonderful. Thank you all. Have a great night. We will be on site Monday doing the pre-mark for DigSafe and drilling on July 22.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much. Have a great
Have a
evening
good
all.
night.
Bye-bye.
Okay. All right, we're gonna amend 4:16 minutes and possible 6:25 to reflect the DRB appointments. All right, does everybody have the paper in front of them?
Yes,
All right,
that would be this, everybody.
so this is the DRB members. John Bushy until 2023. Cindy Legg until 2022. Mike Slattery until 2021. Carl Strohmeyer until 2023. David Dents Jr. to 2022. Matt Gardner to 2021. Sid Smithers till 2021. Alternate is Scott Wells, appointed in 2020. Alternate, Jim Winchesters, was also appointed in 2020.
So for the, can I chime in?
Yes, you may.
Can I chime in? I wasn't sure what you had to add. So, and that was at two different meetings. So the original was that what Cindy Legg was the alternate along with Jim Winchester, and that's what we got wrong. So I'll fall on the sword here as I watched the meeting, and it was very hard to hear it, and I got it wrong, and that's why it was wrong. But to correct it, what we did was at the last meeting we promoted Cindy Legg basically from an alternate to a permanent, and then approved Scott Wells. So that was at a subsequent meeting after that April. That was actually at our last meeting. So
And
this does
625.
reflect the current
Correct.
Development Review Board.
Correct.
So I'm only sitting here for this subject because I would like for the board to give me permission, since I've been working on the town email system and the policy regarding use of town emails. I would like to have permission to work with all of these new members to make sure that they are set up with their town email, that they need help accessing it, setting up a password, all of that, and making sure that all their information is given to our IT person to set up the emails. I just would like permission to do that.
I grant you permission.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
You're
Thank you.
welcome very much.
All right.
Thank you.
Any more on this? DRB? So
Right.
we need a motion to amend the 4:16 minutes as followed. Is that correct?
I'll make a motion to amend the 4:16 and 6:25 minutes to reflect the DRB appointments and alternates as we have been given here and we have just read in open meeting.
I'll
Second
second that. Okay. Any more discussion? Bob,
Aye.
Jamie, Mike,
Aye.
Ronnie,
Aye.
Angie, I. Okay, thank you, everybody. All right, new business. Paul Goyette is here for off-road racing in North Pownal. Paul, are you there?
Yeah, hi guys, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you. Good. Yeah, I was hoping to come back there this year. I've had such great success with you guys and just bringing the community so much work and just trying to keep the kids keep the kids all healthy. But I was just wondering to see how things are going up there with you guys and hoping we can get something rolling.
So have you already talked to the landowner?
Yeah, the landowner is is at O'Donovan and Maxon's Pit. And I, spoke with them. I believe Priscilla is in there tonight as well. And, been there, I think this will be my 4th year there. And it brings, bringing more to the community. I love coming up there with you guys. It's a great atmosphere and just keeping the kids busy so they got something to do.
Have you been doing other places recently with this new COVID regulation?
So yes, so that side of the thing, yes, I have been, and I've been following all the COVID rules. I was down the street from you guys in Melrose, New York. We had a race there, and that was about 4 weeks ago now. It was the first one there, and everything went well. We did all the face masks, the hand wash. When everybody comes in the gate, you have to tell them to bring their own pen to sign the waivers, all the entry forms. There's one entry form per rider, and just trying to keep it all on the up and up in the pit area. When you get into where everybody's in close quarters, everybody has to wear a mask. I'm following all the AMA guidelines for the country as well, not as just for New York, Vermont, Massachusetts, and New Hampshire. So I just had a race last week, a week and a half ago now, in New Hampshire, and the guidelines were a little bit different. And that went very well. Also, that was at Winchester Speed Park, and that was it was a great time. The kids are finally getting out, doing something different, other than being cooped up. So, yeah, we've been following all the guidelines, and things have been going very well.
Now, what do they have to get, a large
Do you have to get a permit from us? Is that what you're looking for?
the large gathering permit? Is that what it is?
Yeah, so, yep, that's what it is from you guys. It's a large gathering permit, over 1,000 people. So it's been close to that. One of the races has been over that. So fluctuates a little bit depending on, what the weekend is. Father's Day weekend wasn't over 1,000 people, but I think in Pownal, you guys are 1,000 people is what your large gathering permit is at.
And that's, you feel that there's enough room there that we can still do the social distancing properly?
I do. There's 100 acres plus over there, and we had it was just under 100 acres at Melrose, and there was 500 racers there, and we went to Winchester. There's under 100 acres, and we had 600 racers there. And, that's where you require everybody to wear a face mask when they're, in close quarters with anybody else. If you're on the starting line, the finish line areas, anybody going into the sign-up areas, bring your own pen. So, yeah, and I've been policing it as well with that, just to make sure that everybody's following the COVID rules.
Do you have a restriction on, because basically it's mostly children, correct? Do you have a restriction where it's only one parent, or are you allowing them to have multiple because of the COVID?
On the starting lines, it's just, I do one parent on the starting line just to keep the numbers down, because there is enough room around the starting area for the rest of the parents to watch, and not do large gatherings in the, within the starting area. Just because that's the closest spot that everybody's at.
Okay.
For the adults and everybody else that's in the starting area, I'm not allowing any other people in the starting area, other than just my staff with their masks on in the starting area. There's nobody else allowed in that.
During the senior riders, you're saying?
Yeah, for the senior, anybody over 18 years old, where they're not a junior or minor, everybody who's over that is, nobody on the starting line with them.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Does anybody have any other questions for him?
I don't. I heard good things about it last year, and it's nice that we're still allowing getting people out and recreating. Given how we've been locked up for so long.
There's a question in the chat asking if he could announce when this race is.
Oh, yeah. So And that was another question I had too, is what is the motion for us? Is there a request to us? Other than general support, and when is the race?
Well, don't we have to approve a large gathering permit?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
select
Right.
board, right?
Right.
So has he applied for the permit?
It's not through
I
me.
have not. Yeah, nope.
It's not 1,000 people all at one time.
Okay.
It's not a 3-day period.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it's staggered.
Yeah,
It's staggered?
right. It's 1,000 people it's 1,000 people within the
Total.
100 acres. It's not 1,000 people on a starting line. The most that would be in the starting line at one time would probably be somewhere around 75, and that's if you're having parents on there as well. You know, if you have one parent with each youth rider.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then if I remember from last year, it was also that there was multiple races, and not
Yes.
everybody was there during the whole day.
Right. That's why I say staggered.
It was staggered.
Yeah,
At any given time,
correct.
I believe it was always under 350, but the total by the end of the day was over 1,000.
Yes, that is absolutely correct. Yeah, because it's staggered races. They're all different times. It starts at 8 o'clock in the morning and it ends at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So it's anybody, you can show up at noon and have your race at 2 and then go home after that. So I try to encourage a lot of the riders to do that as well. But they do linger around to watch. I won't lie. They do linger around to watch the other racers because, well, we're finally getting out. I can be honest.
Yeah, that's true.
Don't you allow isn't there some camping over the weekend as well, or no?
Yes, there is. I allow that. But what I've been doing the last 3 races is I make sure everybody's 20 feet apart with the parking alone. And then that way there, if you're, I guess you can call it quarantined with your own family, those are the groups that can stay together within their own campsites or overnight parking sites.
Right, and then it becomes the responsibility of the people themselves, the social distance, whatever. I get that part. The only other question I have, I know the rescue squad is always there. Have you reached out to them this year because of the with the COVID and asked them what their opinion is on it this year?
I have not, to be honest with you, but that is my next step. I wanted to see what how the town was reacting to it as well. But yeah, your rescue squad has been nothing but amazing to me. And yeah, I will reach out to Mark and whoever else is over there that I have to, and touch all the appropriate channels.
Right, I was just curious if you'd reached out to them because I know they're there. And what their feeling was on the race itself this year. I don't have a problem with the race.
Yeah.
I'm fine with it. That's just
right.
And what-
I will do that, and I apologize for not contacting them before the phone call. And in hindsight, of course, it probably would have been a better idea. But yeah, I will absolutely call them up and see what their I'll get their feelings first, because I always go with the town's blessing, and then the as well as the the rescue squad as well.
You have a tentative date?
Well, I'd really like to try and have something on July 26th is probably the only real open date, to be honest with you, for the next month and a half. I know that Vermont has had races. They've been racing up in Derby, Vermont under the same exact guidelines. And those, that's what I would follow as well, because it's the state guidelines. And then I, adhere to the AMA guidelines, which is a little more strict as well.
Mm-hmm.
So do you race on the 25th as well, that Saturday and Sunday?
No, I wouldn't do a 2-day race, only because I don't want to. I'm just trying to steer away right now from it. I loved my my 2-day race up there with you guys. It was so much fun for everybody. But I wanted to steer away from that for right now, only to just keep focus. And it's so much work just trying to keep everybody status quo with the COVID rules, just on a 1-day race right now.
Perfect. That's a good reason. Do we need to make?
Yeah, that's what I've
Been trying, that's for sure.
We need to make a motion to approve a race.
I entertain a motion to approve the race.
So
I'll make a
moved.
motion. I'll second it. Jamie,
Jamie and Mike. Any other discussion? Bob,
Aye.
Jamie,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye, on the 26th as the date that he's using.
yep,
Yeah.
Ronnie,
Aye.
Angie, aye. So you're all set, sir. Contact the,
Yep, I will call up the rescue squad. I will do that
Yes.
first thing in the morning. I don't want to wake anybody up tonight, that's for sure. But I thank you guys very much. I do miss coming up to Pownal. It is, you know, I've been there for 4 years. It was my first race, and I just got to say thank you to the town. You guys have been just more than accommodating, and it's a pleasure to deal with you guys.
thank you.
Yeah, and we appreciate you. We appreciate your efforts. It really is a nice thing that you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And then I will see you guys. You know, I'll make sure it's okay with the, you know, get my blessings from the rescue squad tomorrow morning. And hopefully we'll see you guys on the 26th.
Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Everybody have a wonderful evening.
You too. Okay, next is Strohmeyer Road Culvert. So there's the bids for the culvert replacement on Strohmeyer Road. As you can see, Bizon Excavation is the lower bid at $14,960. We have $10,000 insurance money set aside, and the remainder $4,960 will come out of the box culvert fund. I recommend that we award this bid to Bizon Excavation. Can I entertain a motion?
That was from Joel.
Yes.
Okay.
Make
Yeah,
a
Just
motion
want to
to,
make that clear.
make a motion to follow Joel's recommendation. For
I'll
the
second
culvert replacement.
Okay, any other discussion? Bob,
Aye.
Jamie,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Bonnie?
Aye.
Angie, aye. So the ayes have it. Thank you. All right, electronic signature.
Did that have a date on it, Angie? Sorry. Of possible when they're going to possibly start? I'm just curious.
No, but it did in the
In the email?
I think you did in
email
an
that
email.
you
No,
Yeah.
sent
Joel.
us
Yeah.
with the bids in it.
Yeah, I thought so. I'm just
I
curious.
could look it up in a minute.
No, it's fine. I was just more curious than anything.
Okay,
I'm not sure why.
all right.
I was just curious.
Okay. Electronic signatures. At our last meeting, we agreed to allow it. We made a motion. Just need to sign this. It says the town of Pownal resolves to accept and validate electronic signatures on petitioning during the time of COVID-19 state of emergency. Physical signatures are likewise to be accepted. Electronic signatures need to be able to be verified against the list of registered voters and include full name and physical mailing address. Once the Vermont state of emergency is lifted, this is null and void. Okay, so we all need to sign this. Ronnie? All right. Next is temp help. That would be,
You want me to talk on that?
if you would like, that's the assistant to the administrator assistant. That was only for 3 months, correct?
Well,
Yes.
that and more, actually.
Okay.
So I think it's pretty obvious that we need to discuss getting some help in the office. So what I did was I took a look at some our town administrator's job description, the administrative assistant's job description, and I'm kind of comparing those things and looking to break some of them out. And kind of reallocate who does what. Let me sign this.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Okay, so dividing out the tasks, I think dividing out the tasks and looking more for taking things out that fall into the category of research, writing, communications, writing grants, and acting as a board liaison, and particularly in the area of communications. That's to me, that's one position. As a temporary position, I think that would be called something like a board liaison. I think we all know that we've really benefited from having a free one for a while, so I think that I think that until we're in our new town office and we have more room to talk about how to fill it in a more permanent way, that we need to move forward with a board liaison type position. And in conjunction with that, I would also, and that was the other part of it, would take that administrative position and make it make that more of an executive assistant. And so what I'm proposing is that I'm actually on vacation next week, but it's a staycation. So in addition to my honeydew list, I'll come in and I can come in and maybe sit with Linda and start talking about what kind of responsibility should fall into that. What I'd like to do is complete a job description that would then become an executive position. So really, the things that I'm proposing here, or proposing to move forward with, is this board liaison position. It would be non-supervisory. It would have a limit of 23 hours per week in order to avoid having retirement and all the other things. So we'd have a limit of that, and then it's as required. It would report to the board, non-supervisory. Same was true with the executive assistant. So that one would also be that would be non-supervisory, but it would be full-time, obviously. I hope that's obvious. And that's what
I thought our temporary position right now is part-time.
and now our temporary position is the other help, and that's still part-time. And I think that's probably the one other thing that we needed to talk about.
So you're talking about 3 different spots.
I am talking
Yes.
about 3 different
All right.
spots.
So
And then the temporary assistant is somebody we have, but do we need to extend that? I think we're actually past the end of when that was. When that was
past
approved.
Yes, we're past it. So we need to make a motion,
Well, I think we need to, the first thing we need to do is
decide if we need
to decide if we're going to continue the temporary help that we have at this point, and when does it stop becoming temporary? These are questions from me, and I don't know the answers. When does it stop becoming temporary, and do we have to post that position as a position for the town?
What I would recommend is that we extend the temporary in, let's call it until the COVID crisis is over. In the same time, I would want to take a look at these other positions and post them. So I would not post both of them. I would want to post the board liaison. And while that's in place, I would also recommend, I mean, I think everybody here agrees that Rebecca's been doing many of the things that are outside of the scope of her town agent responsibilities. She's been filling in for a lot of this, and she hasn't been being compensated for it. So I would one is I hope that we can post that board liaison. I hope that we can and if we post that, I really hope Rebecca puts in for it, but I don't know if she will. That's one thing, and then the other would be: do we need to extend the temporary? Do we need to extend the temporary help that we currently
Right.
have?
I mean, my question is, because that temporary help was voted and approved in January,
right,
for a 3-month period.
done
It's
in April.
expired a while.
Right. So
Right.
do we need to post that position right now to satisfy legal requirements? And then once we create,
Already checked with that does not necessitate.
It does not need to be posted as long as it's a temporary position, less than 1,584 hours in a year's time. Otherwise, it does have to be posted by statute.
Well, 1,500. How many hours does she work now?
23.
well, no
So
more than
she's
20.
not even.
No
I mean,
more
a
than
full-time
23.
position is about 2,500 hours per year. So that's almost a year. I don't think we're even close to that statute.
No, I'm just saying, I
Well-
just know there's a thing, because otherwise you gotta give them insurance, retirement, all that stuff.
She's still under 1,500 hours if she works 23 hours a week for 52 weeks is 1,196 hours.
So,
So we're not even close.
Right,
Right,
I
right.
know.
No,
what a
I understand.
part-time
I just don't want
is.
to
I'm just,
get into a legal battle
right.
over not
Exactly.
posting it.
I just-
But a
Keep us-
52 week at 23 hours a week
Right,
which she hasn't been doing that, is 1196.
Right. So we're.
So if
we're
it's
good there.
1584,
Yeah.
we're fine.
Yeah, I think we're pretty sure.
Okay.
So,
Pretty sure it's the 15.
so do we need to vote to extend that
I think we should extend it. I
at least through
personally-
the crisis, or what do we
I
want
would
to
say
put as a?
longer.
Well,
Until we know what we're gonna do, I mean. we have
Yeah,
to
but
investigate
we're
it.
still calling it a temporary position.
Yes, I would say for another 3 months.
Well,
That would be my recommendation.
well, I would say, I kind of like Bob's idea that, you know, through the COVID crisis.
That could go, this is true, but that could go another 6 months to a year.
And it's very possible.
It's very
Then
possible.
if it gets through.
Okay,
Then we have.
Well, we can do it 3 months at a time. I don't have a problem with that. That's fine.
whatever you would like. I need a motion on the table.
I'll make a motion that we extend the temporary help that we have right now for 3 months, 3 months from tonight at the same hourly rate of pay and the same number of hours, that same way that she was hired.
All right, do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Any more discussion? Bob,
Aye.
Jamie,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Ronnie,
Right.
Angie, I.
You gotta ask her if she still wants to do it.
Well, that's true.
That's true.
We can do that after.
All right, so now we're
Now we have to hire
moving
somebody.
on to the ATV ordinance.
Well,
and-
Do we need to make a motion for, one other thing
Oh, sorry.
we need is I think we need, frankly, in the interim, I think we need to start paying for some help we're getting. This is what this position has been doing is above and beyond the town agent. And I think we need to, until we can finalize the board liaison position and the executive assistant position, at least in the temporary interim, start paying for that position. And does that require a motion?
Well, we need
It's
to have
gonna
a
be
job
temporary.
description for that. don't we? So
Yeah,
we
that's
can have
true.
a position.
That's a true statement.
So
Well, I think we can,
I think we ought to make a motion to extend it to pay the town agency as a town liaison. At least for a period of time. We ain't even got up a job description.
Right.
You said you were gonna talk to Linda about that.
Well, and to be clear, I want to talk to Linda about what the executive assistant job description is. I do have a draft of a board liaison position that I can circulate to the board, but I think we can start paying her for the work that she does. It's over and above town agent, I would think, because
well, I thought
I'll
we were
make a
gonna-
motion. I'll make a motion that we pay Rebecca for a 1 month period, 30-day period, no more than 23 hours a week, at $16 an hour.
I think it's skilled labor. I would go 20, but that's
No, she
that's
doesn't
all I
want
would do. No.
Well, I think we're paying one of our temporary help at 16 to stay consistent across the board.
Okay.
That's just my reasoning, you know, no other reasoning, just, and I make that for a 30-day period or until we can come up with a position and have it posted.
An actual job description.
Right. Does that work?
I think so. Yeah, I would say until we fill a board liaison position, or say 2 months, whichever comes first. A month will be gone before that, and we already know we've got a lot of work for her. She's been doing quite a bit.
Sure.
That's fine. 2 months is fine.
Okay.
All right,
Just
so we have a
amend-
motion on the table. Do I have a second?
Second it, but with an amendment
With
of
the amendment to 2 months.
the 2 months and the work that's outside of the legal
Town agent,
of the town agent
yes,
duties.
absolutely.
Be specific.
All right,
We discussed that
Yeah.
before.
right.
The way that I understood it, we didn't know how many hours it was gonna take, and we were supposed to get back there to see what it is.
Right.
And we were
Right.
kind of guessing.
Well,
So
I think
I
we're
think a couple of month trial period is fine.
Right.
I mean, we need it done, especially during all this controversy we have.
Yes.
Yep.
We can't
She's
get
doing a lot of
something
work.
up and settle it tonight, but we went through things pretty good so far.
so far.
So far. What I'm saying is, in You gotta contact the lawyer, write letters and all that kind of stuff. In a couple of months, well, that, we'd actually know a little bit more about it because it'd be recorded.
Right.
Correct.
We've been getting it for nothing, so it ain't been recorded.
Yeah, that's true. And you can use it for things like grant writing as well. I mean,
Yes,
just the
that's right.
writing skills are tremendous.
Okay, so a motion's been made
All those
and
four.
seconded. So Bob,
Aye.
Jamie,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Ronnie,
Aye.
Angie, aye. So the ayes have it for the both temporary jobs. And then you're gonna come and discuss with Linda
Executive position.
executive position.
Yep.
Okay,
Executive assistant.
all right. Anything else before we go on to ATV? Anybody? Okay. So we're gonna move on to ATV. We should open up to public comment first,
Nope, you're gonna have a preliminary discussion.
preliminary discussion.
Yeah, and then you'll open it to public comment. Let me know when you're doing that, and I'll make sure that
Okay.
everybody comes in smoothly.
Thank you.
Mike, did you want to open it up? You should have that in your packet. You want to go through this? You want me to go through it?
No, that's fine. It doesn't matter to me. Either or.
Well, then I'll go to you. I'll sit here with my mask on and sign off.
You find the right page.
Oh, sorry. On the let's see. It starts at I think it's number 12 in the itemized list. If you want to talk about that.
So I'm gonna read the number.
And I highlighted in yellow anything that I changed as far as the frequently asked questions are concerned. And then but that also highlights the changes that we've got in the ordinance.
Let me find the ordinance. There we go.
Am I in the wrong?
Oh,
Where are you?
sorry, there's two of them, right? You've got the ordinance and you've also got the frequently asked
Yes,
questions.
this is the
So what
ordinance.
one are you on?
I'm on the frequently asked questions on item number 12.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, I
I
didn't
thought
see
we
your
were going
page.
to.
Sorry.
Maybe I should go through it.
Okay.
I thought we were going.
All right, so it was a couple of changes. Sitting down and looking at and hearing some of the feedback that we got and looking at some of the roads. And then Ronnie had made a comment in the last meeting about those roads that are tributary roads off of the ones that are
Find it, Ronnie.
Being taken off.
somewhat landlocked and taken off, and were resident only roads. And so we came up with another list, another list that falls into the same category. So, and there's going to be a little bit of a difference in here in that, why don't I just read the questions?
Okay.
Would any town roads in Pownal be off limits to ATV use? And I'll read it as amended. Yes, while this ordinance as proposed would allow ATV use on all class 3 and 4 town roads with additional restrictions for some of these roads, that was an addition, and legal trails, Route 346 and US Route 7 are not deemed town roads. Use of ATVs on this road is strictly prohibited. The ordinance will also make 4 of our class 2 roads off limits to ATVs with the exception of allowing residents on those roads to use them to get to a legal road or riding area by the shortest path possible. Those roads are still just as we talked about them last time. It's North Pownal Road, Barbers Pond Road, South Stream Road, and Jackson Cross Road. Now the addition. In addition, the following class 3 and class 4 roads are open to residents only or those with written permission. And this is different than permission. It's written permission for these roads from a property owner on these roads. And those roads are Quarry Hill Road, Cedar Hill Road, Palmer Drive, Hemlock Hill Road, Roizen Road, Burrington Road, Man Hill Road, Lincoln Street, Crow Hill Road, Hughes Lane, and we got to check the spelling on some of these, but
Lincoln Street.
Cash Place, Lovett Cemetery Road, and Skippery Road with from the junction of Fowler's Way north to the end of the road, Orchard Street, Liberty Street, Purell Road, Evergreen Park, West Meadow Court, and East Court, which are kind of the same. It's the same area. Now the reason for going through these, and Mike and I talked through these, is that on most of these, the only place up there are is private property. And we're just afraid that by not having that written permission amendment, we're taking steps to make sure that we're not inviting trespass.
Undue use.
Number 16 should be Purcell Road.
Oh,
That should be Purcell.
In COVID, they changed it.
yeah, see, hand sanitizer. Percy.
And I believe the spelling is right on the rest of them, Bob. I'm pretty sure.
What's the right spelling on Percy? P-U-R-C-E-L-L?
I think it might be one L, but I'm not positive.
Okay. So if the board is good with that, I think that's the, and wait a minute.
Schoolhouse.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So what is it?
Purcell Dugway.
Town Highway 50.
Yep.
And then I did want to talk a little bit about the stickers and at least our vision for them. The stickers and how we issue them doesn't belong in the ordinance. It's not in any of the ordinance I've read, but it will be a process that we put together. So the way we're going to distinguish, or at least the thought right now, and we'll have to flush out more of the details, but the way our thought right now on the stickers is that a blue reflective sticker, as one example, a blue reflective sticker would be a Vermont resident. And the ones that have serial numbers that start with an R and a hyphen would be those that are residents of these roads. So when we're issuing the stickers, you would get that distinguishing mark on the stickers that get issued. If you're out of stater and we decide to sell to out of staters, you would have a red sticker altogether. So those would be very distinguishable from the blue stickers. And one of the reasons that's important is just at a visual glance, if you see a red sticker, you know immediately that they're not only road and they're on and they've got a red sticker, that's illegal. So that's an easier identifiable mark.
Unless they have written permission from a property owner.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
I just want to make sure.
Well, the 4 roads, the 4 class 2 roads, they wouldn't be allowed on at all.
Right.
The class 3 and 4 that are written permission only,
Right.
They could be.
Right. I just want to make sure that's clear. And I also want to make sure that what's clear is the sticker process, we haven't discussed it very much, in a very limited way, actually. We can certainly change and come up with some ideas as we brainstorm the sticker process. I mean, these are just kind of quick ideas that we've had, and we're going to have to brainstorm that, but we have some time to do that. So,
Bob, back to your list of the roads. Schoolhouse Road. With the
Well, we
school
went back
on
and
it
forth
Oak
on
Hill
that.
Children's Center.
We went back and forth on that.
There's
If
3
you-
houses back there. There was 4 houses. And I do know that one does ATV.
We might, so that would become a resident only road.
I would say resident only, because there's only 4 houses.
I know what I'm thinking, and here's what I know what I'm thinking,
Okay,
but you don't.
enlighten me.
All right, so
What-
the one thing I'm thinking about is if I know we have some clubs in town, or at least one. If the club could come up with a way to get to that road, that might be the only. Right now, Barber's Pond is not permitted,
Right.
which kind of cuts off one side of the town from the other side of the town, unless you go except for Ladd. But if down at Ladd, there's no way to get to the north side of town because that's all 346. So.
well, that's where honestly,
Well, I'm also trying to think of like getting to the stores and other things. It's possible that the club could come up with a way to get to, say, the village market or some things along in there. And I was hoping that there could be a way to do that. But
Well, I think there is a way to do that through the forest or what's that land by where they play Little League? By the school. What's that called?
Between Lampman's and
I mean, there is property there. I mean, it's privately owned, but if they got permission, they could go through that way. I just don't want them on the Schoolhouse Road.
That makes sense. So I
Where
think we're gonna
kids
add
are.
that back in.
School
The others is
buses.
wow.
So number 20 is gonna be Schoolhouse Road.
Thank you.
Let's reopen it up for a function.
I think part of this in our discussion is it now puts some of the burden onto the ATV clubs to now go to landowners and develop their trails and, some legal trails, which I think some of it should fall onto them. We shouldn't just open up everything. Now some of that burden comes back to the ATV people. And I'm sure that they're going to be pretty diligent in working on trying to get some trails.
Right.
I would hope.
I think
too.
that's true too. And frankly, I think this is a better ordinance now. And this is, personally, I like what we just did.
Did you want to touch on the speed? That's 25 miles an hour. Are we good? With the
I think we're
roads?
fine.
We're
I
fine?
think we're fine. It is 25 miles an hour or whatever the posted speed limit is. And the town of Pownal has no roads over 35. That's the village speed limit. The only roads over 35 are the state highway and the federal highway, which is not permitted for ATV use anyway.
Okay. Anything else before we open to public?
I think that sums it up pretty good.
I think that's it. I don't have anything else.
Okay. And now we can open up to public comment, please.
I think we've taken a lot of concerns and put it into the.
Tiffany, are you there?
Yep, I'm here. Hold on a sec.
Okay.
Can you see us?
Hey, ma'am.
Hey, guys. So I just have a little group of people here. We're kind of big. We just want to say thank you, guys, for all the hard work you did and everything you're enduring, and we really appreciate it. And we're going to follow the rules, and we are going to do what we need to do to be responsible ATV enthusiasts. So we all just want to say thank you.
You're welcome. Thank
That's
you.
pretty awesome.
That's really nice.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you so much.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Have a good night.
We could hear you.
You too.
For those that don't know, they're out in front of the town hall, and so that's why you could hear them in stereo.
All right. Next, please.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello,
This is Donna Lozon. Can you guys hear me?
Yes,
We can hear you.
Okay, I am far away, so I apologize if my phone is in and out.
Okay, we can hear you well. Thank you.
Okay, I'm so sorry. I'm trying to get to my statement. Okay, you guys can hear me okay?
We can.
Hello?
hello.
Hi.
We can
Oh,
hear
we
you.
can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, sorry. Okay, I'm just gonna start reading. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm tired of people putting their version of the truth, so here's the reality. Ordinances put parameters and regulations where there currently aren't any. When we have had traffic issues, we develop traffic ordinances. When we have parking issues, we develop parking ordinances. When there are noise issues, the same. When we had large people gathering, we developed a large gathering ordinance. None of those promote noise, traffic gatherings, or parking. So it's solely propaganda to say an ATV ordinance will bring in more ATVs, as an ordinance, by definition, tries to solve already existing issues on both sides. And yet the board tries to put together an ordinance. One group, now an LLC, cries it must be fought against because they didn't get to make the rules. My question to them is, do you want regulations or not? Because what you're complaining about now is not having an ordinance while also bemoaning the creation of one. I find that illogical. We elected the select board. Shadow government should not run the town. There are people in town trying to scare our citizens and the select board into submission regarding ATVs and their riders. I ask you to do your research. Town after town in Vermont is bringing forward progress by opening roads. In fact, Jay Vermont recently announced that they are working on the same. Somehow Pownal is different. This form of recreation somehow is not worthy. I see the same names complaining on every issue, no matter who's on the board. Some of these very complainers have made it clear in emails and social media how they feel about riders and citizens and have called them very derogatory names. Recently, local volunteer firefighters used their personal off-road vehicles to assist in the rescue. Do the naysayers have a problem with that too? Because to my knowledge, no one on bicycles or hiking helped out. People are going to ride regardless of someone else's feelings. Imagine if citizens railed against cyclists the way you do ATVs. Bikes are not registered or insured. They do not have proper lights and mostly ride 3 wide on all of our roads. I hope that we're not being selective over what type of recreation people choose to be involved in. And I would thank the board for all of their time and consideration, and I appreciate all the work that you've done. Thank you.
Thank you for calling in. That was very
Thank
nice.
you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Merrill Bat, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Hi. Oh, I didn't mean to start my video. So I'm speaking on behalf of my clients.
Speak up a little bit, please.
Sure. Yes. Can you hear me better now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So I'm speaking on behalf of my clients, and I just have a few comments to make. So law enforcement was present at the last working session that the select board held. And I'm afraid I couldn't tell who said it, but one of the select board members did say that he thought the board needed to hear more from law enforcement. There have actually been several more incidents since the last working session on Monday night with ATV riders. On behalf of my clients, I would request that the board defer any vote until they've had an opportunity to hear more from law enforcement, as was suggested at the last working session. The second comment is that the group that I represent was given the opportunity to bring in witnesses from law enforcement and the medical community to speak to the board tonight. But we were only given 2 days notice, and I note that it was not possible to coordinate with professionals on such a short time frame during off business hours for an off business hours meeting. So again, on behalf of my clients, I would request the opportunity be extended with at least 1 week of advance notice so that I can coordinate those witnesses. We've notified the board of several violations of the open meeting law that have occurred in the past. I note that these past violations have not been acknowledged or cured by the board. Attempting to fix them tonight without addressing those past issues is just an acknowledgement that past meetings did not conform to legal requirements. Members of our group, the group that I represent, have forwarded to the board several written threats in writing from local ATV enthusiasts. So I would ask the board to consider including.
I'm sorry, Ms. Bennett, we can't hear you.
You're breaking up.
Okay, is this better?
Yeah,
Much better.
Okay. So members of our group have forwarded several written threats from local ATV enthusiasts. So I'm just asking the board to consider including in their draft ordinance some type of provision that would require essentially somebody to be dismissed from an ATV group and have their rights to ride revoked if they engage in that type of behavior in the future. And I will note that the town of Newport in their ATV group, as I mentioned at the last meeting, has done just that. And when people send threatening messages to people or make threats, they get kicked out and they get banned. I think that's a really important thing to do if, you know, keep members of the public who are expressing their opinion are being subject to written vitriol at all hours of the day and night, including threats to do things around their property to, quote, make them crazy.
It's in the ordinance.
And then, but I think there needs to be a real measure to enforce it. And then finally,
Ms. Bennett,
yes,
excuse me. Sometimes I'm not sure why, but you get really difficult to hear, and
okay.
Just want to make sure we hear everything you're saying. I'm sorry.
No, I appreciate that. I'm just gonna move my computer.
Yeah, it's just your volume is modulating a little.
Is this better?
It is now.
Okay. So my last comment is, if the ordinance does pass, I would ask the board to consider placing a townwide vote on the ballot for the November election. This is assuming that the petition that is filed specifies that the timing can go beyond this allotted 60-day time frame in the statute to hold a vote. I think it would be a lot more efficient than coordinating 2 separate votes when you're already going to have to hold one in November. And I do understand that the board would need to probably consult with legal counsel on that issue. But I think it is possible as long as the petition clearly specifies that everybody acknowledges that the timing would be for the November 3rd election as opposed to, you know, an off schedule election or an off schedule vote.
I'm sorry, Ms. Ben, is that the end of your comments?
That's the end of my comments for now. You know, assuming that none of my clients want to yield time to me later, and you know, I don't know what else I would have to say, but those are my comments for now. And if you had any trouble hearing them, I'm more than happy to just send just to the board the comments that I made without any other editorializing, just so you can consider them.
Oh, that would be fine.
Okay.
I did want to address one of your comments.
Sure.
As I stated in the previous meetings, it was very important to me that clause that says the select board can pull your sticker for even one infraction, and it was exactly because of so that we could determine how egregious the infraction was. The example I used at the time was you know, doing donuts in somebody's front lawn or something like that. You're losing your sticker. Even if it's your first offense, that's just not acceptable behavior. And I think we can all agree that threats are fall into that same category.
Well, and I think to spell it out even further, in our policy and procedures, which still have to be drafted, we certainly could put that in there. And I totally agree with you 100% that a threatening email or message, however it comes across, a person that has a sticker at that time, in just my opinion, should have that sticker revoked immediately. I totally agree with that.
I think we all do.
Well, yeah, I'm just speaking for myself. I'm not going to speak for anybody
So
else.
as long as we hear both sides of the situation.
Yeah, that's true.
It's
too.
true.
It's not,
you know,
not, guilty.
but I mean,
proven innocent.
the threats just don't need to happen no matter what.
No,
It's
I don't
kind of,
like it. I don't tolerate bullying, but
right.
And of course, the flip side is let's not paint with a broad brush ATVers or non-ATVers,
correct.
With some sort of you know, everybody acts this way or everybody acts that way. Those are individuals, and everybody's responsible for their own behavior.
Right.
And it's up to us to hold individuals accountable for their behavior.
Does that satisfy your question and comment on that, Ms. Bent?
I think you're unmuted now, Ms. Bennett.
Miss Bent, are you there?
She might still be muted.
Okay, now I'm unmuted. Thank you. Yeah, so because you disabled people being able to unmute myself, when I muted myself to listen to you, I couldn't redo it. But I do appreciate why you have that setting on. Yeah, I think as long as it's clear in whatever passes that those types of threat constitute an infraction, and I think perhaps even something to spell out exactly how you report a threat, to who makes that decision, that it doesn't require action by the entire board, that there's somebody specified to make that call. I think that would be an important part of the equation here.
Just to Harry's point, just that we're careful that we're not given something to the board that's out of context, like two people arguing back and forth, and you take out the worst comment, and that's the only thing we see out of context. But absolutely, you know, threats are just not acceptable behavior.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, I would ask, I know that the board saw the threats that were forwarded from members of the group that I represent. I think those are pretty clear. And frankly, I think the person who made them should already be subject to being kicked out. But, you know, obviously the ordinance is not in effect yet, but I mean, they're pretty nasty and they're pretty pointed and they're not out of context. They're just out of the blue. And directed to multiple people.
Right.
Thank you. Do you have anything else, Ms. Bennett?
Not at this time. Thank you very much.
Have a good
Thank
night.
you.
Is there anybody else out in the waiting room that would like to speak? Please raise your hand.
Hey guys, it's me again.
Oh, Tiffany.
So I just wanted to let the board know that the ATV group that just formed, I am a part of. I was one of the founding members, so I know exactly what is in our code of ethics and all of those things. And we do have a code of ethics. We have a purpose. It's all on our Facebook page, which was published in the Bennington Banner. And if there's bad behavior among our club members, there is a way to deal with that. And they can be thrown out of our club for the bad behavior. So we are policing that our members. They have large stickers on their ATVs that are very visible. And if something happens and you see one of our stickers, you let one of us know and we will handle it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Jim Kosis, I assume?
Jim, are you there?
Hello. First of all, I want to, can you hear me?
Name, please.
Pardon?
Could you state your name, please?
My name's Jim Kosis. I'm up on North Mason Hill Road. First of all, I really want to thank you guys for attempting to do what really needs to be happening in this town. Unfortunately, I still believe we're just moving a little bit too fast for this whole situation. There are so many questions out there, and there are many that you are just addressing tonight that are changing the whole draft ordinance that is on the website. So after tonight, when I read the draft ordinance, it is not the one that I have seen this morning. Second of all, I'm a little confused. On Monday night, the state police did inform you guys that they will not enforce a ATV ordinance, or they will not enforce an ordinance. They will do what they have to do for legal situations that they're involved in. The second situation is the sheriff department, if I heard correctly, only works until about 1 o'clock on Thursday, based on what I heard from the select board, and I will listen to that again. So I'm confused on Fridays, Saturday, and Sundays. If there are any infractions on this ordinance, who are the people to notify, or who will be out there checking the stickers during those 3 days, which are the most important days that anything can happen in this town? And I want to thank you. And Mike, if I have any more time left over, I will allow Ms. Bent to ask any more questions. Thank you.
Thank you. There was no time limit.
I don't think we probably should make that clear that we don't have a time constraint other than we tried to limit it to 1 hour for the purpose of this meeting. That's right, the public comment part of it, correct?
That's right.
And that's the only thing that
Discretion to extend. You have a discretion to
and that's
extend.
the only thing that I have a timer running for is the 1 hour period.
And then you
Okay.
can reassess.
And then we can reassess, correct. Sorry, we should have stated that earlier.
So, I mean, the question of the state police not enforcing an ordinance, and number two, at what time on Thursday or Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, if there are infractions to the rules and people are on the roads that are not meant for non-residents, how is that going to be enforced?
So the sheriff's department, they have a revolving schedule. And they do Friday evenings throughout the, and sometimes they do it, I remember it's like 10:30 at night through whatever in the morning. I haven't done a ride along yet, but that's one thing that I was going to do, just to see, so I'd be able to better answer questions like this. I haven't had the opportunity yet to do one and do it after hours, but
Excuse me?
I was planning on getting in and doing that. So that, looking at troubled areas, different places where we have higher complaint rates and stuff, when I was able to.
I guess,
You know, Jamie, I really appreciate what you're saying. Unfortunately, I have called dispatch on Saturdays and Sundays and said, is anyone on duty this weekend? And I have been told by dispatch, quote unquote, I'm sorry, no one is on duty. You'll have to call the state police.
Well,
Jim, I have a question for you.
Sure.
Has in the past couple of months, or maybe a little bit longer. Has there been a sheriff that sat in your driveway on a Saturday afternoon for approximately 5 hours that that the town paid for?
In my driveway, no.
Or close to your driveway on North Mason Hill?
In that area.
He's been down.
Mason Hill?
He's been down. He's been down. I will be honest with you, Mike. He's been down at the bottom of the hill at about 9 in the morning.
On North Mason Hill Road, correct?
That is correct.
For approximately 5 hours.
Well, I'm not going to say how many hours, but it was in the morning. And unfortunately, that was after a phone call that just specified, what can we do to make you happy, Jim?
From who?
I'm not, just like everyone else at the board, I am not going to mention names.
Okay.
But it comes to the point of, if it's in the morning, no one's out there riding in the morning. And I'm not against four-wheelers. You people just have to understand. Everyone has the opportunity to ride four-wheelers in this town to access the trails. And the trails have not been announced where they are, and you're turning the horse in front of the cart saying, as soon as you open up the roads, they will create the trails. Well, I'm sorry. If there are no trails now, there are no trails, all right? And I would just ask you guys to publish where those trails are. Second of all, one of the reasons why they said my road would be open was that they want to access down to Stewart's. Well, I'm sorry, Stewart's is not a place that can be legally accessed. And you're turning around the whole schoolhouse situation road and things to make it available to get to Village Market. We're not, when you can get to that point of saying, where can we get to, and then open up the roads, it would be more advantageous. But the way you're approaching this now is saying, let's open the roads and let's find out what we can do to access where we want to get to. That's not the proper due diligence, and I'm sorry, Mike, the total due diligence that's involved. Now, I'm going to repeat, behind my house is Old Military Road. It is an open access road, but they will not travel that road because it has been taken over by mud vehicles and stuff like that, and they will continue to ride on my road, which is a residential road. That's not necessary, and that's not what I want to happen in the rest of this town, is that they just feel they can ride where they want anytime. Thank you very much, and have a good night.
Thank
If I could make a quick point, is I've heard a lot, and this isn't directly counter to the previous speaker, but I just wanted to make this point. A lot of people, when they're making the complaints, start with a statement that this ordinance will make things worse. I don't agree with that statement. You can disagree with me if you want, but the reason for the ordinance is to make things better. So many of the complaints that we get start with the statement that opening up our roads will increase the traffic and increase the illegal activity. And if that happens, then we will have failed, because that's absolutely not the intent of the ordinance. And I don't agree with that statement at all.
I agree with you. And the state police said that night, anything that we do that can help them identify and help them with their job to make it easier, it would be very much appreciated.
That's
And
right.
that's what we're trying to do.
I'd like to
talk about the sticker process.
I'd like to say one thing about the enforcement. I haven't been real vocal about it, actually. It is my hope and belief, and I truly believe this, that if we have an ordinance that is enforceable, that I do believe, and if we can find some funding for it, that if we called the sheriff's department and possibly the state police, if they have a manpower available, they could form a group effort to do some checkpoints like they do on the vast trails with snowmobilers, which incorporates sheriff's department, local police. I'm pretty positive. I don't know this for a fact, so don't quote me on it, but I think the Bennington Police Department gets involved in those. Game wardens get involved in them on the vast trails. Now that I believe, and I'm not a snowmobiler, so I don't know, but I believe that part of that is funded through the VAST sticker system. So now, is it going to happen in year one? My vision is probably not.
Nope.
Is it going to happen maybe next year in May when the roads open back up? I would certainly hope so. That's my belief, and that's what I would push for. With an ordinance in place, is to do some checkpoints on those high trafficked areas, and when we have illegal riders, yes, fine them and fine them. You know, let's make the fines so that they don't do it again, type thing. Not the $25 or $30 fine or whatever. Let's make it, you know, so
Well,
that we can enforce it.
It progresses pretty fast.
Yeah, right.
And I certainly don't want to, I mean, if somebody didn't make it back in time and he's on the road at 9:15, he's supposed to be off.
And Mike, I really appreciate what you're saying, but unfortunately, the discussion is happening at the 12th hour. And this discussion is what should be happening throughout the process to come down to an ordinance that will be taken care of, will cover itself, and will not have any holes open up for any problems.
Jim,
That's not possible.
that's not possible. And first of all, I'd like to say an ordinance is made, and the next board or next year board, if we're all still here, an ordinance can be looked at yearly and can be changed yearly. We are trying to do good for the community. And I have looked at my emails today. You have emailed me 23 times, and I've read every single email. I've heard everything that you've said to me. I've read everybody's email.
All of us.
I don't have my eyes closed. I don't own an ATV. I don't ride an ATV. I want you to know that I'm trying to do the best for the community. This has been going on for years and years and years. I am done fighting over this. I want the board to move forward and get things done. That is why I ran last year, because I'm sick of the fighting, sick of the stuff being tabled, sick of the stuff not being done. So I would like to get stuff done. I would like to respect one another. I'd like to move forward. So thank you so much, Jim. Have a good night.
Amen.
Is there anybody else out in the room? Please raise your hand. Merrill, are you there?
Yeah, thank you. Thanks,
Could you
Angie.
please, excuse me, Merrill. We
Yes.
can't hear you again, hon. Could you please speak up or move your device closer?
Sure. Is that better?
Much
A little
better.
bit, not much.
Okay. I'm 6 inches, maybe 4 inches from my computer now.
Okay.
You're very lucky that my camera's not on.
Why? Are you in your jammies?
No, just a very close up.
Oh, okay.
So I just want to, I appreciate that Ms. Zwingy, I'm not sure how to pronounce her name, has made, Zwinga?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that she made the point, she made the pledge that everybody's going to follow the rules, but I would just point out that I think that rings somewhat hollow because she's the person who published on our Facebook page a list of my clients so that her followers could easily identify them. And, I don't see any purpose in doing that other than to make them targets.
Excuse me, Merrill. That's a public record. Just saying.
That's fine, but I just don't see why you would ever do that other than for the reason to make those people targets. So I'm just saying, fine, you want to follow the rules, but you also need to keep your group members in line. And part of that is not to try to incite people.
We're not talking about the club, hon. I'm sorry. We're talking about ATV.
Okay, well, just as long as that comment makes it on the minutes, that's fine. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night. Is there anybody else out in the chat room? Please raise your hand. No one else?
As of
Yep.
right now, no one
Yeah,
else.
we got one.
We got one. Oh, it's Fred Miller, I believe.
Fred Miller, are you there? Mr. Miller?
I think he's muted, isn't he?
I think Ben Fred is Fred Miller, I'm pretty sure.
Looks like he's muted.
He's unmuted.
Fred, are you there?
This is Bumford.
If he's struggling with his check, I will give him my phone number, okay?
Mr. Miller, are you there?
Hello.
My face feels like I'm on fire.
You are.
This is hot.
It's
This
because you're
field is hot.
behind your welding mask.
I hope it's not a welder mask if you are, you're blind. Right? Just saying.
Hey,
Okay, here's Fred on my phone.
Hi, Fred. Please
Hi,
state
thanks
your
for
name.
Hi, I'm Fred Miller. I was just calling to, you hear the reverberation? I just wanted to thank the board for taking up this issue, and despite the pushback, I think everybody should agree that this board has done more on this issue than any previous board has. And I appreciate no matter what the outcome is, thanks for visiting this issue. Have a good night.
Thank you. You have a good night too.
Thank you, Fred.
Thank you, Fred.
Is there anybody else in the chat room?
Richard Williams.
Richard Williams, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Barely.
Yes, you're faint, but we can hear you.
All right. Can you hear? Is that better? Can you hear me now?
That's better.
Okay. First of all, Ms. Rawlings, I would really like to thank you for your comments of a few moments ago. I found those very heartfelt and very commendable on your part. In terms of the ATV controversy that is before the town, it's been very upsetting and very traumatic for all the years that we've lived in Pownal to have to listen to both sides bicker back and forth. And what is truly ironic to me is that both sides really, when you break it down, in my opinion, want the same thing, and that is legal writing. And to me, the key to legal writing is enforcement. And where I would say that this current ordinance is a bit rushed is the fact that it really doesn't have any guarantees or any increases in the ability to enforce the ordinance in and of itself. And I would point to last week's meeting when Mr. Jarvis, I believe it was you that I spoke to at that time, said that that the town had not contracted any more than the previous standard 30 hours weekly with the sheriff's department. And I just didn't understand why that would be, that with now more roads being opened, there wouldn't be, there would now, to try to nip any problems that might arise with illegal riding, because I think the vast majority of riders in our town are reputable and good citizens and do so safely. It's just the, as in any group of that you would find, it's just a small group of people, and without a way at the beginning of this ordinance, once it's passed, and if it ultimately is voted upon, to me it's crucial that both sides feel comfortable with it and accept it. And the only way that they would accept it would be that if it wasn't a toothless tiger, that it had teeth behind it, that it had enforcement behind it. And I really would hope that you would try to do more research on that. I'll listen to your comments, but that's basically all I have to say.
Thank you, sir. I would just like to say that we were constricted from the budget of last year. So that's why we had to go with the 30 hours. We're hoping that the stickers will bring in more revenue so we can have more patrol. We're hoping. We have to try something to see if it works. And like I said before, if it doesn't work, we can revisit this next year.
I would also point out that that's right now it's all opinion on whether or not enforcement will be harder or easier with the passage of this ordinance. And I think that there's probably a difference of opinion there, and it's probably a legitimate difference of opinion. But we have an enforcement problem today. So not passing an ordinance things will continue just like they are. Passing the ordinance gives us the ability to bring ATV riding out of the shadows and into an acceptable practice, and get some legal riders on the road, and also gives us that sticker process and the more money. We did say that as we bring in money for stickers, that would be used for enforcement. So there are provisions there. We need to see how this is going to work, in my opinion, because if it doesn't pass, if it doesn't make it pass the vote, we're back to where we started, and whatever complaints we're getting today, we'll continue to get. And no matter how much money we throw at this, the Vermont State Police and the Bennington County Sheriff's Department will continue with a no chase policy. That's the reality. So we can't change that no matter how much money we throw at it. I think we've got some provisions in here that make enforcement possible, and that make a neighborhood watch kind of thing, and bring clubs into it as well. That would also help with those. And that's the experience that I'm hearing from other towns.
Mr. Jarvis, if I may, let me ask you a question there. And I'm picking up on the phrase that you just uttered about if the ordinance is to pass. If it is defeated, would you know why it was defeated? Would you know when a subsequent board, either your present members upon re-election or another board that would replace
That's
you?
up to the townspeople to vote on.
I understand that that's for the townspeople, but when the select board then would go back to the drawing table, would they know what were the causal reasons that the previous ordinance was voted down?
Well, I would hope that people would talk to us.
Okay, all right.
And explain.
So it would be basically word of mouth. Is that correct?
Well, no, it's not just word of mouth. We have lots of input that's coming into the town. We've received a lot of input on the ATV ordinance, both pro and con. And then I guess we'd have to talk to the subsequent boards.
Yeah.
I don't know how we would wrap our arms around it.
And the other thing is, if we have an ordinance in place, that allows us to go after additional grant money also. And therefore, that could help us with our enforcement and our signage and other activities to promote safe riding, as far as riding, safe riding classes for, starting out riders and whatnot, just like they do with boating and every other activity.
Right.
We have town land that we would like to open up for everything, and this is a step towards that.
Yeah, to be clear, the town land would be for all recreation, and we want to divide that up and make sure that it can be used by everybody, by hikers, by hunters, by ATVs, because it was all named in the trust.
Correct.
Merrill Bent.
Merrill Bent, are you there?
Thank you, Richard.
Yes, hi. Thank you for unmuting me again. Actually, just jumping off of Richard Williams' comments, if the board is so sure that the decal system and the system that you're implementing by this ordinance is going to be effective, why not test it without opening additional roads? I mean, why not test it on the roads that are currently open and see if it's actually something that can work, rather than open all of the local roads in Pownal to test this theory?
Well, I think if we're bringing it out of the shadows and making it a legal activity, no one's going to pay $50 for a sticker to ride on 4 roads. It's just not going to work. You would still have the vast majority of ATVs with no sticker and not identifiable.
So, but why does it have to be all roads? Why can't you go through and see what?
All roads.
Okay, why does it have to be so many roads? Why can't it be like, okay, let's open up 2 more roads and let's see how that works? Why does it have to be so many?
And Ms. Ben, I don't think that's because people aren't going to buy it.
I think we've been pretty diligent in the last couple of weeks on opening up, quite a few of the roads, but I also think we've been pretty diligent on looking at roads that probably shouldn't be opened up at this time, because it is 100% private landowners, and there is no place for them to get to on those roads.
I mean,
At
they
this
can use
time,
a trailer, right?
excuse me?
They can use a trailer to get to those roads. That's part of the ATV sport, is having a trailer.
And that's true. Unfortunately, a lot of the community members, and to be perfectly honest with you, Ms. Bent, this is for me, this is more driven for community members than the out-of-state rider, because the out-of-state rider, you're absolutely 100% correct, they're already on a trailer. Our community members, unfortunately, a significant number of them, I'm sure, don't have a trailer or the means to obtain a trailer to,
They're already private
well,
land.
so that, you know, they just don't have the means to obtain a trailer so that they can enjoy one of their hobbies. Now, I guess it would be the same as a person who owned a boat that didn't live on a lake and didn't have a trailer to get it to the lake. So I just think that what we've done with the roads that we've opened up gives people a chance, residents mostly, it gives them a chance to get to a trail that they can ride on away from, you know, the general public. They're obviously gonna pass general public, the houses to get to where they have to go. But they're not going to, you know, we have a provision in there. If they're looping around certain roads, then that's a violation. The enforcement and the permit numbers or in identifiers, you know, our hope is that that's going to take care of some of that enforcement. Right now, excuse me, there's absolutely no way to identify a side-by-side or 5 side-by-sides. There was 3 white ones, a yellow one, and a blue one. Oh, great. I mean, you know, I'm good because mine's black, but, you know, it's very difficult at this time for anybody, whether it's a property owner or a law enforcement officer or any person to identify the machines. But if they have that number and the sticker, excuse me, on their machine on 3 sides, that's our goal, left, right, and rear. Then when someone rides by one of your clients' houses and they're doing crazy things, they possibly, you know, they can let us know what that is, you know, and we can obviously do a little investigative work and see what's going on.
I really appreciate that comment. So I think one of the criticisms that has been leveled at my clients is that they're people from out of state. But, you know, I will tell you, I was born in Vermont in a small town. I'm from the state. I'm not an outsider. I get how this works. I appreciate the consideration you're giving to community members who may or may not be able to have a trailer for their ATV. That is part of the sport. I mean, that is part of the recreational activity. But the ordinance doesn't limit use of the roads to community members. So maybe it should.
Thank you so much.
Let me just finish my comment. Thank you. It doesn't limit it to community members. Maybe that's a step in the right direction, that it would limit it to community members. That's not something that the ordinance does at this point.
Well, we do give the community members more opportunities in this ordinance, more freedom, I guess the better word is.
I get that, but it doesn't limit it to people who are residents of Pownal. You know, I think
neither does any other town or state that has ATV ordinances.
Okay, well, that's fine. I'm making my comment. I'm making my comment now. So, you know, if you're saying that the reason for this is because members of the Pownal community can't afford trailers, then limit it to members of the Pownal community. Limit the roads that people can ride on a little bit more so that people aren't concerned. And the other thing I would say is I appreciate the idea that decals will make things easier, but when ATVs are riding by your house at high speeds in the middle of the night, I dare you to try to get the decal number. I mean, that's near impossible to do.
Ms. Bent, I think at this time, honestly, I think you had a great point, and that's something that we can certainly consider in our policy and procedures, is maybe at this time, maybe we do limit it to community residents only. I mean, I'm not saying, and I'm brainstorming here, just myself. So maybe that's something in our policy and procedure moving forward. If we get an ordinance that's passed, then maybe that's something that we talk about. And it doesn't necessarily have to go into the ordinance. It could be in our policy and procedures.
Well, my concern there, I appreciate that, but my concern there is that once you pass the ordinance, I'm just not so sure people are going to understand that it's contained in a separate document. I think it should be part of the ordinance. And like you said, it can be something that's limited in time as a trial basis. So maybe if you're going to do it on a trial basis, you can not only limit the roads to what's absolutely necessary to get people from point A to point B, but you could also limit it to community members for the town of Pownal.
Two more people are waiting to speak.
We can certainly take that under advisement, you know, and I think in our policy and procedures, you know, that's something we can certainly discuss for
Ms.
sure.
Bennett, thank you so much. We have 2 more people and our time's almost up. So I'd like to give them a chance, please.
Yes, thank you very much for listening to me again.
Thank you.
Sherry Linowski.
Sherry, are you there?
I just unmuted. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Could you please?
Okay, my name is Sherry Limkowski and I'm on North Mason Hill. So my comment is that I'm hearing tonight that the extra roads that you have limited usage to residents are because there's nowhere there, it's the only way to access. So North Mason Hill is a dead-end road, and I don't know this for a fact, but I totally believe that most of the ATV traffic that comes through, especially late night, is coming from Williamstown. It's coming up through the woods and coming up the power trail from South Mason Hill to North Mason Hill and then going down. And I agree with Jim, they don't ride Old Military Road because it's not as good a road, because obviously our road is graded and taken care of by the town. And the people who live here try to drive so that it stays taken care of. So why is our road open? I guess that's my question.
When we took a look at the roads, it was that they you couldn't get there from here was the criteria that we were using on what those roads are, and that road doesn't fall into the category. It's not completely landlocked. It's not like for example, the roads that we took out started on 7, ended on 7, and there were no tributaries. That would be a perfect example of the kind of road.
But it's dead end.
And the other thing is, you have neighbors up there that do ride and give permission to ride on their property.
And that's fine, but when all the people are coming through the woods and not, I don't know, I just have a really hard time believing that their behavior is going to change because of an ordinance. And again, it goes back to enforcement, which we don't have on the weekends when they're here.
You also have a continuation of a class 4 road connecting, even though it looks like it's just heading out to a field.
But the only people who have a legal right there, I believe, are the power company, isn't it?
That's not true, man.
No, it's a town road. It's a class 4 town road.
From North Mason Hill to South Mason Hill?
Yes,
yes, it is.
Yeah, it's actually state statute. If a class 4 road is not maintained in the winter, it is by state statute open for ATV use.
Right.
And that's not, Pownal can't do anything
That's
about
separate
that.
from ours. That's
okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Have a good night.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there anyone else? There's no one else. Do you wanna, but we can ask one more time.
One more time, I'm going to ask if there's anybody out there. Please raise your hand. I'm going to give you 2 minutes, and
You
then
guys
we're
take care of the
shutting
chat.
public comment.
Yeah. We can chat.
I see a red marker in there, so somebody's.
Who's going to get public under my chair?
There are no more hands.
No more hands?
Nope.
All right, so I'm going to officially close.
Public comment.
Public comment.
So, I'd like to make a motion to adopt our ATV ordinance with the amendments listed tonight, or the changes to it listed tonight. I feel that the select board has done due diligence, listening to all concerns in town. And this isn't a knee-jerk deal. I mean, we've actually listened, put stuff in, we've changed it. If people have been paying attention to the different things, it's been changed, so.
Okay, I have a motion on the table, second.
I'll second to pass the ordinance as amended. And to be clear, the amendment was we added Schoolhouse Road to the latest version. That's the version that the board has.
Correct.
And then we the version that changes from the version that the public has is we added a whole bunch of roads.
19
and we
other
read
roads.
them.
And we
20
read
now.
Yeah, 20 roads.
20 now roads that are not only resident only, they are unless you have written permission from a landowner on those roads. So with that, I'll second the motion.
Any other discussion?
I have and I'm not sure, I think this is a proper time. The only thing I'd like to bring up, and it's a concern of mine, we touched on a little bit earlier, is if we adopt an ordinance tonight, my belief is that it's going to have a petition filed for a townwide vote. I'm sure. There's not a doubt in my
We know
mind.
that's gonna happen. That's why we said. that we
Right, but there's
allow
not a doubt in my mind, and I kind of hope that they do.
That's what I want. I want it to go to the town.
Right. So the only concern that I have is that we've already spent money on this through lawyer fees and whatever else. I would like, just my opinion, I would like to see a townwide vote at the November 3rd election rather than have a special election. Just a concern, and just it's
to be not a decision we have to make tonight.
Can I insert something regarding statute? And remember, caveat, I am not a lawyer. However, this was sent to me today. When a petition is submitted in accordance with the subsection of this section, the legislative body shall call a special meeting within 60 days from the date of the receipt of the petition, or include an article in the warning for the next annual meeting of the municipality if the annual meeting falls within a 60-day period to determine whether the voters, the November meeting, I don't believe is an annual meeting, is it?
No, it's not.
No.
right. So the only thing is that I did hear that from Miss Bent early on, that the petitioners may or may not agree to move it to the November 3rd election.
But I think what
They
we just
can't
heard
even
was
they
that
can't
it's
even do
not-
that.
It's not even
It has to be done within 60 days. According to this statute, as my reading of it, my non-lawyerly reading of this
I read that.
is I just have to say that 100 times, is that it has to, the meeting shall be called within 60 days from the date of the receipt of the petition, or include an article in the warning of the next annual meeting of the municipality if the annual meeting falls within the 60-day period. So it really involves including it in an annual meeting. So if you pass this ordinance and they give you a petition tomorrow, you have 60 days to do it. The only way you're going to get it mixed in with another election is if it's the annual meeting.
Or if we waited a certain number of days to give us that 60-day window.
Oh, Merrill Bent probably knows better than I do, but that's.
I think it's something we can handle after we pass it, because we need to even know if
We
getting a
close public
petition.
comment now. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean,
I'd
I
like
wouldn't
to
have
make a statement anyway.
I wouldn't have-
haven't said anything through this whole thing, but I've been thinking. And, these things are really popular now. Side-by-sides, four-wheelers. They've got some real nice machines. They benefit a lot of people. The state loves them. They get the taxes, the excise taxes, and all that stuff. And I think that we, as a town, I think we're going to have to open up sooner or later. And I just assume stop this fighting back and forth. Here we are. Let's get past the ordinance. We'll see how it works, and the public will still have a chance to turn around and say, look, we don't like it. They can petition for a vote. We can have a vote. If we can't have it in November, we can have it in March. It ain't that far away. These things have been operating illegally right along for a long period of time. So enforcement, they couldn't enforce it before. And first of all, we can't afford enforcement to do all the things these people want. Right. But I think if you legalize it, you make it so now you're getting a lot of responsible people, and maybe the responsible people will also be show us the way. In these other towns, the way I understand from what research I've done, they're having good luck with this, and it's going to come. There's more and more of them things. Wimett said he sold in the last month. He sold over 100 at each store. That's 200 of them things in Bennington and Adams. So come on, they're coming here.
Oh, well, and I don't think we disagree with you, Ryan. I don't think any of us do. I think I don't disagree. I'm just looking at not spending another $1,200 or $1,500 on a special election for a townwide vote.
Election if it was done in March when they had the.
Well, no, but we can't do it in March. We would have right now in order, and I don't know the date, and I apologize. I should have figured this out. In order to have it on November 3rd at the general election, the presidential election, if we adopt it tonight, we cannot put the vote off the way I understand it until that general election. We would have to have another special election and spend another $1,200 or $1,500 on it. And there's pros and cons to both ways, both sides. We're not going to I don't believe that we're going to get a whole bunch of revenue in on permits, even if we adopted it tonight and it went the full duration.
Well, probably not. They wouldn't have a whole year.
Right. They would basically only have about 5 weeks total of riding time legally because our roads close in December 1st. So we're not going to get any revenue or very little revenue. I don't say any because you never know. But my assumption is we would get very little revenue in turn by adopting this ordinance tonight. For legal riding for 4 weeks or whatever it would end up being.
If we adopt it tonight and they came in with their signatures tomorrow, I'm just playing devil's advocate, then we would have to do an election for September 8th. That would be the 60-day window if they came in tomorrow with a petition.
What if they came in 44 days?
No, it's by then. It's not.
Right, it's by then.
Right, it doesn't. You don't have to wait 60 days.
Right,
you can't wait longer.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The length of it. The
now
max
they have
length would be July 8th as of right now.
Right, but if someone were to bring a petition in, they have 44 days from today to get a petition gathered up and presented.
Okay, yes, 44 days from
44 days from today, and then we have 60 days
after they turn it in.
After they turn it in. Now we don't have to go 60 days, but we have 60 days.
We couldn't do it for the primary, which is August 11th, right?
You can't combine the votes anyway.
I'm
44 days would be August 23rd.
I'm asking right now.
Okay. And then 60 days from there.
It'd be October 23rd, give or take.
Yeah.
Mhm.
After 20th, because there's
So
1 day.
October 23rd, right?
Right.
So that would if that were the case, 23rd, 8, 9, 10, 11. If we adopted this 12 days from now, we could have this on the November 3rd election.
Right. That's providing they waited.
Provided they waited their 44 days.
Okay.
So, but to be clear, one is that it's not the process that was outlined to us by our town attorney.
I understand.
So
that.
we'd be deviating from that, and we're not even sure that you can combine those two.
Will also be clear the ballots will already have arrived at town office for September.
Right.
Already for the November.
You'd already be past it, so you wouldn't have the ballots would be.
Looking at paper ballots.
Right.
I think the cheapest and easiest way to be able to handle this is actually a special election that is for this purpose.
Oh, shoot me.
That's,
I don't know about
that's what I
cheapest.
think. I think that might be true. I think that might be true based on what we just heard.
I'm just,
Don't we have any other business in this town but these four-wheelers?
yes, we do. They have lots of business in this town
It seems
that I
to
would
me
like
we
to move
spent a lot
forward
of
on.
time here on this issue.
Merrill
Let's
then
keep
says
it
if you
moving
unmute
and
her, she
waiting.
can speak to it without advocating, which means that she's willing to just tell you that what that means in the law without actually, it's not part of the litigation. So she'll just tell you what it means. If you would like to hear that from her, I'm also speaking to our lawyer.
Okay.
I'd listen to Merrill. My opinion.
Would you like to hear it from her?
Is everybody okay with that?
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
For clarification
Yes,
purposes.
please unmute her.
We've been listening for quite a while.
Right, man? What's another 5 minutes?
Oh, Ms. Bennett, go ahead, please.
Thank you. Thank you to all the members of the board. I think this is a really interesting question and a good question. And I think you have a couple of options. And like I said to Linda and Rebecca, I will speak to this without advocating. I think the options that you have in order to wrap it into the November 3rd election are to defer a vote so that it will, the 44 days plus the 60 days falls within the November 3rd vote timeframe, or you don't vote on the ordinance and you just put it on the ballot for November 3rd. You could do that too. The other thing that I would add to that is, you know, that would give you more time to hone it if you wanted to, and I'm not suggesting that you feel like you need to do that. But I do think you have a few options to wrap it into the November 3rd election. And keep in mind, when the November 3rd election comes around, the only people who are allowed to vote are Pownal voters. It's not out-of-staters. It's not anybody with a property interest. It's just the people who actually are registered voters in the town.
That last part's always true. I mean, all of our elections.
Right, exactly. No, it's always true. You're right. You're absolutely right. But I just want to make that point for everybody who's listening, that, you know, people who just own a second property in Pownal and enjoy the beauty of Pownal are not going to be voters.
If you choose.
Okay.
Thank you. Do you want me to say that publicly? That our town council said, if you choose to do that, you can wrap them together with November.
Thank you.
Okay.
That's only if you choose.
Well, I think,
Is
I mean,
Ms. Bennett
I
off?
mean,
Is she done?
are you done, Miss Bent? Sorry.
Must be okay.
I just want to be.
Yes, I was done. I was only trying to be helpful on that point.
Well, okay, thank you. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
I think there's one thing that she was, according to our council, is she was wrong about, is that we have to have the ordinance approved by the select board to go to a town vote, no matter what. That's through VLCT and our council. So I just want that to be clear. That's what we have been told. So once again, I'm for an ordinance 100% at this time. I just have a problem with having it voted at a special election and spending another $1,200 or $1,500 on it and going down that road. It's just my own concern.
Okay, so I have a motion on the table. I have a second. Are we done with discussion?
I'm ready to vote.
Okay,
Call the question.
we already have a motion and a second to pass the ordinance with the amendment of the tonight.
Which is if it passes, we are going to
Do a special election.
have a special vote.
Exactly.
We'll have a special
Within
vote
60 days of them turning the petition, which will,
If it gets turned in, correct.
I'm certain it will.
Right. Okay,
Well,
Bob,
Aye.
We could have a special.
Jamie,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
If they turn the position.
Ronnie,
Aye.
Angie, aye. The ayes have it. We have an ordinance. Yay. All right. Is there anything else before the board tonight?
Oh, are we done?
We are done. There's nothing else before the board tonight.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Wait,
Sorry.
wait, sorry.
I want to add the town hall project to the next meeting and invite Pauline in. May want to have some discussion in executive session for it also.
Okay, does anybody else want anything on the agenda? You can email Linda, or do you know about it tonight?
When is our next scheduled meeting, Linda? Okay.
So we'll put town hall on that meeting and possible executive session.
I'm sure we're probably gonna need it for,
I would like to put an executive session on that meeting as well, Linda, please.
I would say personnel.
Personnel.
Yep, mine's gonna be contractual.
Yeah, personnel. Thank you.
Oh, then we may as well put the new positions on there. That could be part of personnel.
True.
You'll
The
be ready
discussion of, yeah.
You'll be ready in 2 weeks?
Yes.
Okay.
I've already got a draft. I've already got a draft, and I'll be talking to Linda this week.
Awesome.
Awesome. Anything else? Ronnie, do you have anything?
Oh,
Can I
second is-
entertain a motion to adjourn?
Second, Ronnie.
Oh, you already did it? Second? All right, Bob,
Aye.
Jamie,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Ronnie,
Aye.
Angie, aye. Ayes have it. We're adjourned.
Beautiful.